accidents in other parts of the state as well.
And with ice covering most of the area, drivers are finding it difficult just to get around out there.
Fox 10 News reporter Candace Murphy was on I-10 when a driver got stuck coming out of the tunnel. Now, Candace, we saw some of the road conditions a little earlier. What's it like in downtown Mobile right now?
Well, Bob and Lenise, it is still covered down here. I just found this piece of ice, and you can see just how thick it is. That kind of explains why it really hasn't de-thawed down here. Some of the buildings keeping the sun out from getting to the ground. Just a very thick piece of ice. I'm actually standing on probably the only dry piece of pavement here. If you look around me, ice is just covering this area near Bienville Square. Now, I found a woman today. I actually saw her on a ramp. She was trying to get down here to downtown Mobile when her vehicle got stuck. From the time the sun came up, drivers were in a fight with Mother Nature. These semis got stuck trying to make their way through the eastbound Wallace Tunnel around 7:30 a.m., backing up Interstate I-10 eastbound for miles. While the westbound Wallace Tunnel was open to drivers, some didn't make it too far. One woman who didn't want to identify herself was trying to get to downtown Mobile when her SUV got stuck. When you first started sliding, what were you thinking?
I'm dead. Oh my God, it was awful. I was terrified. When they say stay indoors, that's what you need to do. But I wanted to go home. Everything was good until I got here. I thought all this was sand. No, it wasn't sand, it's ice.
What you been doing to killing time for the last hour?
Crying. And calling 911. They're tired of me.
After waiting, a police officer blocked off the ramp, and she was finally rescued.
I feel better because he's blocking anybody from getting me, pushing me over the either edge, each side. So I feel better now. But before he came, there was two cars one was trying to pass me, and I hollered out the window and told her to go back because she was going to slide.
And for those heading eastbound towards Wallace Tunnel, they finally got some relief, too. Yeah, you know, those drivers who were just sitting in gridlock traffic for hours were so happy once they started actually moving, even if it was just a little bit of a crawl for a while. Now, a little later tonight, I'm going to tell you guys about some people I met down here. The Bienville fountain is actually completely frozen over. It might have started moving by now, but we're going to show you that and catch up with some people who are kind of taking in the sights and sounds of this winter storm. Jason and Chastity?
A lot of people have been talking about this. We've been getting, hundreds of pictures in to report it. We've gotten videos. We're going to share some of those videos a little bit later.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Grip in the Fox 10 studios in Mobile.
And I'm Lenise Lagan. We are live along Fish River in Baldwin County, truly one of the hardest hit areas during what has become a historic flooding event. People here were watching their houses just being flooded by water. We're talking 2 feet deep in some cases. Some people had to be rescued. We heard stories of people hiding out in their attics, waiting for volunteer firefighters to come and rescue them. People said they've seen this kind of weather before, but never to this extreme. I mean, it is really deep out there behind me. It's supposed to be a parking lot. The actual river doesn't start to begin until that tree there, but as you can see, it is completely underwater.
Erosion on Spanish Fort Bluff has been an ongoing problem now for years, but yesterday's historic rainfall brought the problem to a head with nearly devastating consequences. Fox 10 News meteorologist Matt Barentine joins us live once again from what used to be a backyard. Matt?
Yeah, that is exactly right, Bob. It used to be the backyard of Linda and Larry Kessler. Now there's an arm span from this big chasm to their home. Now, once again, it is an ongoing problem they've had with the city, but last night's rain essentially doubled the size of what they call the Spanish Fort Canyon in their backyard.
Last night we lost probably 40 feet of depth and 20 feet of backyard.
This gaping hole is what used to be the backyard of Larry and Linda Kessler. You'll now find most of it blocking the eastbound lanes of the bypass below.
I never expected it to be like this. We always feared that it would and that our house would end up at the bottom of the bluff. As you can see now, it's probably about 3 feet from at least part of the house going off the edge of the bluff.
Kessler says poor drainage down a culvert is responsible for the devastation. The family shared a video of the water roaring down that gully during yesterday's downpours. Kessler has been in a fight with the city the past several years to fix the problem. And recently, they won a lawsuit to get that fixed. The work was set to begin in about a week. But with the new scale of the devastation, Kessler is unsure if anything can save his home.
I don't know. I know that it would be hard for me to move back in this house unless some engineers can guarantee me that it's going to be safe after it's fixed.
Kessler says he hopes the city moves forward with the fix.
If they're going to, step up to the plate, or if they're going to continue to deny and say it's not their problem, I really don't know.
Now, I did speak with Spanish Fort Mayor Mike McMillan on the phone today. He told me engineers and the construction supervisor came out this morning to check out their new damage and are going to reassess the situation and figure out what possibly can be done for what is now this huge chasm. Once again, I just point this out. Less than an arm span from their home. One other thing I'll point out real quick too is they're not living in this house at the time. Right now, they actually rent another place a little ways away. In fact, they have a bunch of stuff in this house. They use it for storage. Today, they've been moving it out because they don't even trust it just to leave a few things behind at all. Reporting live in Spanish Fort, I'm Matt Barentine, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Matt. In Mobile, a number of streets had to be shut down because of sinkholes. Fox 10 News reporter Michael Brannon was out in the storm last night live. He joins us now again from McGregor Avenue and Dauphin Street. Michael?
Yeah, that's right, Bob. Today, this road is impassable. Take a look at what is the result from last night's rain, heavy rain and flooding here. Last night, an F-250 pickup truck was driving along this road here. This is McGregor, just north of Dauphin Street, and it went into the ground. The ground just opened up beneath it, and into the ground it went. A huge truck there, and definitely a dangerous situation for anybody driving along the road here. The driver and his son are both okay. We interviewed them and talked to them just a little while ago. They said they are both fine. They did go to the emergency room just for precautionary measures, but they are good. Definitely a scary situation. The common factor here with the sinkholes that we've seen here in Mobile is this right here, the drainage ditch going under these roads. And these drainage ditches are, so much water was in these yesterday. I'm told by neighbors and contractors working on some homes over here that the water line was actually out of the ditch and above the roadway and washed away some of these roots here. You can see the trees here, Guy, if you can zoom in on that there, the root system washing over the road from some witnesses here who saw all this yesterday here on McGregor Avenue. So definitely a very scary situation. Roads that don't typically flooded yesterday, and you can see the destruction from it. Here, this road is definitely going to be closed for quite some time, and as well as some other roads in Baldwin County, Mobile County. We've seen this in many places just because of the lack of drainage, because of the excessive amounts of rainfall. So we're going to continue to cover this for you. We're going to continue to monitor how long these roads will take to be fixed, and we'll let you know about that on Fox 10 News and also online on fox10tv.com. Bob?
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, let's see what's going on with those rain totals. How much rain did we see with this epic event as we had a stalled front and Gulf moisture and some upper energy all coming together in Silver Hill? Nearly 2 feet of rain. We saw 20 inches of rain, and that's in that Fish River watershed. That's why we had the big flooding there, and also in Foley. Some of that ends up in Fish River as well, especially on the west side of town. We're talking about 18.9 inches, nearly 19 inches. Orange Beach, a lot of rain. Daphne, over a foot of rain, 13 inches of rain. In Mobile, officially at 11.2 inches of rain. We saw nearly 11 inches in downtown Mobile. Theodore picking up nearly 10 inches. And look at some of the totals from the Florida Panhandle. Milton, nearly 19 inches of rain. Pensacola, 15.5 inches of rain. And this is a record amount of rainfall in a 24-hour period for Pensacola. Not just for the date, but for any time, even with some of the tropical systems and the hurricanes. So certainly amazing to set a new all-time all-time record for daily rainfall in Pensacola. Now, doing a whole lot better right now. We still have a few light showers across the panhandle as we have the front still stalled to the east of us and some upper-level energy getting involved, kicking back off a few showers. And in Mobile right now, we're doing great. We had some sunshine today, a few clouds coming back in late, a couple of light sprinkles in Baldwin County, but nothing that will add to the flooding. And we had a couple of showers very briefly over the 3 Mile Bridge near Pensacola. They've now transitioned over into Santa Rosa County, but this is a much more spotty situation. This is nothing like what we had going on last night. Here are your weather headlines, and we have that rain coming to an end across the forecast area. We still could get a spotty shower, but the flooding threat is now much lower. And it certainly was a record flooding event. And what's really amazing about this is that we are seeing totals which exceeded what we've seen with major hurricanes, which are typically our main rainfall producers.
Right, like Danny, for example.
Yeah, Danny in 1997, we saw Fish River higher than it ever was during Hurricane Danny, and a lot of localized flooding throughout the area. We'll continue to track it here on Fox 10 News as we go through the evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Grip. My co-anchor, Lanice Lagan, is in Pritchard right now. I understand you're standing by with the little girl's mom, Yosha Populous, correct?
That is correct, Bob. I have Miss Yosha Pappas here with me right now.
I haven't ate, I haven't slept, I haven't had nothing but sips of water. I have not thought the worst, I've only thought the best. I have my faith in God that she is okay and that she is coming home, and I'm trying to wait patiently as I can. All the negative rumors, all the drama, I don't have it up. I just want my child home. If you ain't hear from me, don't believe it. You can't believe everything you hear.
What's the latest you've heard from police as far as the search goes?
Well, you have nothing. We don't have nothing. They are questioning, constantly searching, but we have nothing. We don't have nothing about my child, where she can be. It's been so much going on social media. She was found dead. Not true. Somebody is saying that she's this place, that place, and the other one. We can't find her. The police has been everything. They following up on everything. Everything they are following up on. And like I said, there's a $5,000 reward out for to bring her home. Anything you think you seen her, any way you thought you seen her, please come forward and tell us something.
But the search is still underway. Helicopters have been circling the area near the St. Stephen's Wood apartment complex looking for Hawaii Robinson, who, as we mentioned, has been missing since about 4:30, missing now for 24 hours. The Alabama Department of Public Safety has put out an alert asking for anyone with any information. They said, in fact, she'd been wearing a Hello Kitty shirt very similar to this one, as you can see. She disappeared 24 hours ago. U.S. Marshals are on the scene. The FBI is on the scene. There's only one girl, only one goal here, and that's to bring the girl home. We understand that she came home from school, she went and changed her clothes, and then went to meet with her father.
She came home and got out of her damp clothes and, started to watch TV. And her daddy called her, and they was talking, and she always tell him to bring her some money. And he have a niece live over here, so he told her that he was gonna come to his niece's house. So the excitement of it all, she left out the house immediately going over there. So we called her daddy. He said he never came. He didn't have her with him. So they just set up the alarm. Everybody, we called the police, and everybody been looking high and low for her. We don't have no Hawaii. It's been almost 24 hours.
Here's the latest information. As I mentioned, police have issued a statewide missing persons alert for her, but we want to clarify this isn't the same as an Amber Alert.
Dr. Eichold, E-I-C-H-O-L-D, M.D., Health Officer, Mobile County. This is an interesting patient who presented to the Mobile County Health Department with some very vague symptoms, no history of travel to endemic area where there's Ebola, but had very challenging communication issues because of the concern of not really knowing exactly what she had. It was referred for specialty care to the University Medical Center, who accepted the patient for evaluation. Because of transportation issues, ambulance was arranged, and all the fire and rescue people responded in a very appropriate manner using their biohazard equipment. We think this is a very low probability for a serious infectious disease, but we'll leave it to the specialists at USA Medical Center to determine exactly what's going on with this patient.
Well, her family has been traveling to areas where Ebola is present, isn't that correct?
No, the family members had not traveled in the past 45 days to any of the areas where Ebola is present. She had some family members who had traveled to Africa, but not in the endemic countries.
Can you confirm that a floor has been evacuated where that patient is being treated? I
do not know what's going on at USA Medical Center. I know that they were prepared to evaluate the patient, and that they have been, their infectious disease team was notified on how to properly evaluate the patient, and they're probably taking cautions, and exactly what they're doing is up to the University Medical Center.
Do you know what symptoms she said she had, and was she specifically say?
Well, HIPAA protects her for any of her health privacy, and so she had just some vague, non-specific symptoms.
Can you tell us what time she came in today?
She came in early this afternoon, so it was after the noontime hour, and was evaluated with her non-specific symptoms, and everybody wanted to be very cautious and have concerns about what might be the underlying issue, so we referred her for specialty care.
How long does it take to determine whether someone does in fact have Ebola?
Well, the incubation period is 18 to 21 days, so and she's not been out of the country, and none of her immediate family have been in the endemic area for over 45 years. Haven't been in the endemic area at all, and have not traveled in over 45 days. So the incubation period would be, a period of time if you were exposed, and we don't know when she might have had an opportunity to be exposed to the Ebola virus, but I think everybody is being very cautious and wants to make sure she gets the best care possible.
Fox 10 News reporter Renee Dials has been investigating Constable. She's here to tell us about some information she has uncovered. Renee?
Well, Bob and Lenise, if you ask any constable, they will proudly tell you they are a member of the oldest law enforcement group in the state. They also boast they have the same authority of arrest as any other peace officer. But they are the only law enforcement representatives in Alabama who are not required to have any training whatsoever. And I've discovered some of these elected peace officers who are sworn to protect and serve are also convicted felons.
Sir, Renee Dials.
Mario Yao is halfway through his 4-year term as state constable for Precinct 34.
Which is Plateau, parts of Pritchard area over Josephine Allen. We're elected officials, elected by the people. We're not hired on as other law enforcement agencies.
But the same year Yao was elected, he was arrested and charged with trafficking cocaine.
Because I was railroaded by the Mobile County Sheriff's Department. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, either you're going to do this or you can take this plea.
Yao was offered a plea bargain the same day he was set to go on trial in February.
I was offered a plea at trial for probation, you know what I'm saying? And it's supposed to be a mandatory 3 years on trafficking, right? I don't deal drugs, Ms. Dawes, never have.
So you're saying even though you pleaded guilty to trafficking cocaine, that you didn't actually traffic cocaine?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Despite his legal troubles, Yao says he's been a great asset to law enforcement, and he continues to serve his community.
Private security, just people call, you know what I'm saying, because they want the presence of a law enforcement car parked outside, or when I have done club security, wedding receptions, things like that, people know that I'm very strict about no weapons coming into wherever I'm doing security at.
As a convicted felon, Yao cannot carry a firearm.
I don't carry one now because I'd just rather do with pepper spray. It's too much shooting that's going on now with law enforcement. It seems like that's the only thing they resort to.
Yao is not the only constable who has ended up on the other side of the law.
Mr. Sheffield, did you shoot Mr. McMillan last night?
Larry Sheffield's arrest for murder last month put the spotlight on constables in Mobile County. Investigators say Sheffield shot and killed an unarmed man outside a bar on the Causeway. Sheffield says the shooting was self-defense. Precinct 6 Constable Donald Alcoyne is on probation for a DUI conviction in July. It's a misdemeanor, but still not something you'd expect from a peace officer. Alcoyne is still on the active constable list. And Scott Bond pleaded guilty in April to a federal firearms charge in Kentucky. He was sentenced to 3 years probation last month. Bond was indicted in 2013, but continued to serve as constable for Precinct 87 in the Theodore area until just recently. He turned in his resignation to probate court.
Generally speaking, in Alabama, if an elected official is convicted of a felony, then upon that conviction, their office is automatically vacated.
But probate court Judge Don Davis says there's no one to check in the case of constables.
As an elected official, you are aware that most elected officials, if they have a felony conviction, that they lose their office?
I've heard that, but I've also been informed that if you do get a felony offense that you would have to be impeached, because it's not just like you can just be thrown out of office.
Have you looked into it because of your felony?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
We asked Yao who would impeach him.
I have no idea. I've tried to ask that question to find out, and nobody ever told me.
There are a lot of constables like Yao who were write-in candidates who won the election with just a few votes, in some cases only one. But what some find even more disturbing is that many of them have no law enforcement training, and that's something that's required of every police officer and deputy in the state. Even some constables themselves say they need more training among their ranks.
Now the problem is with constables, one can conceivably get one write-in vote, go buy a badge and a uniform and a sidearm, and go out and have the same authority as a deputy sheriff or a Mobile police officer. And I think that's dangerous, because they might have had not 1 minute's training in the use of the firearm or any training whatsoever in citizens' rights or the law or procedure of what can be done and what can't be done.
Precinct 91 Constable David Evans has more than 20 years' experience with the Secret Service and U.S. Customs. He says it's troubling that many constables don't have even minimal training, and he says it's a scary situation.
Certainly is, because if a person with no training with a firearm has to act, my goodness, what could happen?
And Evans points out another concern.
There's no oversight of a constable. A deputy sheriff or a police officer has to answer to his chain of command. If there's a citizen's complaint, he can be disciplined. There's no oversight for a constable in Mobile County. There's no authority to which a citizen can go and complain.
Evans says he's worked with others to try to bring about training and oversight for constables. There have been bills brought up in the legislature, but he says they were either killed or struck down in court.
Some parents in our area say they are spending hours trying to find help for their kids with homework that neither of them understands.
Tonight, Fox News investigative reporter Renee Dials speaks with one mother and her 6th grade son who say they are struggling with Common Core standards.
Bob and Lenise, homework for this family used to take about an hour a night, but now they sometimes spend several hours trying to figure out math problems using the Common Core standards, in addition to completing other homework assignments. Now, this parent is frustrated, and she believes the school system is hurting students in the way Common Core standards are being implemented in schools across the country.
15 plus 5 is 20. 12 divided by 2, since that is 2/3, equals 6. 6 plus 12 is 18. You could easily tell, because you know that 12 is... God.
Are you getting confused?
Yes, ma'am.
It's okay. Just move your hand and take a deep breath.
12 is smaller than 15. 2/3 is smaller than 75%. It's just worded differently, so.
11-year-old Rain Austin was always an honor roll student until the school system implemented Common Core standards 2 years ago. Now Rain is struggling to pass 6th grade math at Clark Magnet School.
When someone doesn't get it a certain way, they tell another student to go help them. Well, what if the student does it the teacher's way? That doesn't help, because they're doing it the same way that you don't understand it.
Lee Austin says the frustrating math has left her child in tears some nights.
The one night it took 5 hours to do 8 math problems. The following night, we were at a loss on his assignment.
We've come up with a math example that Rain Austin might be asked to do. At the top of the screen are the ages in months of all of the students in a 6th grade class. At the bottom of the screen, this raw data is shown in a different way. Now, according to Common Core standards, the student should be able to look at this data and come up with possibly 5 different statistical variables, one of them being the median age or middle age of 139 months. We can see that more of the students are younger than the median than older.
Like many other parents, Austin says the new math standards don't make sense.
Why incorporate all these extra steps and confuse the children when the way it's been done for decades was very easy to begin with? Why fix what's not broken?
Principal Michelle Adams says these Mertz Magnet School students will be ready to tackle middle school math when they get to Clark. She sympathizes with older students who are challenged now, but she's confident they can and will get it.
If they were graded wrong because the approach at the time or the expectation at the time was to show me a different way of thinking. If you're still showing the same old way, are you really doing what was asked of you? And that's what we're trying to do, teach children to think outside of the box and to come up with more creative ways of finding solutions to old problems.
Adams says the key to success with Common Core is persistence and dedication. She knows some parents are frustrated, but she says there is help for them and their children.
We teach workshops, we have tutorials online, as well as we offer parents information about different apps and so forth available to help them with their learning at home.
I personally, as his mother, felt like he was really losing confidence in himself, losing his self-esteem, because he had always been an AB honor roll student.
Common Core standards are supposed to help students look at problems from a different perspective. Supporters say they may use different strategies to come up with the same answer. But some parents have given up not only on Common Core, but the school system altogether. Tomorrow, we'll talk to another mother who has decided to teach her children at home.
Now, the principals talked about workshops for parents. Do the parents actually have to go back to school in order to help their children?
Well, you know, it may not be a class, but many parents will have to put forth some effort to learn how to help their children. And even the teachers are having to learn new strategies. And that's something they have to do outside the classroom. Now, you can follow our entire series on our website. We've got a link for you to all of our stories on our homepage, fox10tv.com.
And there's more to come.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Renee.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Grip.
And I'm Lanice Lagan. So good to see you for this Fox 10 News special event.
That's right. This is a debate featuring the 3 Republican candidates for Baldwin County Sheriff. We're in the ballroom of Homestead Village of Fairhope, and we want to thank the people here at Homestead Village for letting us use this space.
Oh, yeah. We needed the space, too. We've got a nice crowd here tonight. We are going to be the moderators of this event with a panel of journalists behind me asking some questions. And then I will also be taking some questions from you via social media.
That's right. In addition to this broadcast on Gulf Coast CW, the debate is also being streamed live right now on fox10tv.com, our website. Well, first, let's meet the candidates. Huey Hosmack has been sheriff in Baldwin County since 2007 and is the president of the Alabama Sheriff's Association. Sheriff Mack has been married for 26 years. He and his wife have 2 sons. Larry Milstead served as Baldwin County's chief deputy for 18 years. He served on the Emergency 911 Board and is a past president of the Bay Minette Rotary Club. He and his wife have 2 children. Jeff Dunn is a former Baldwin County Sheriff's deputy who now works as an investigator for the District Attorney's Office. Dunn and his wife have 5 children and 4 grandchildren. And now to the members of our panel. Lori Dubose is the general manager of WABF Radio. She has more than 30 years of experience in broadcasting. She lives here in Fairhope with her husband and 2 teenage boys. Brendan Kirby is an investigative reporter for AL.com and its 3 newspaper affiliates. He is based in Mobile and joined the Press Register in 2000, covering the courts, politics, and other topics in Baldwin County. He lives in Daphne with his wife Carrie and 2 children. Cliff McCullum is the managing editor of the Gulf Coast Newspaper Group and is the primary editor for the Baldwin Times. He began his journalism career at the Opelika Observer, where he was the news editor and an award-winning columnist. He's also a former high school teacher and a community college professor. Now, here are the ground rules for tonight's debate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement and then 1 minute for a closing statement at the end of the hour. Answers to the questions from the panel or the viewers will be limited to 1 minute per candidate. Follow-up questions from the panelists will be allowed. Colin, please.
Thank you, Bob. In late April, Bay Minette resident Victor Brown died after smoking the drug spice, or synthetic marijuana, perhaps highlighting the problem illegal drugs are causing in Baldwin County. What would you do to address and combat the issues that illegal drugs like synthetic marijuana, meth, and heroin are causing in Baldwin County?
Mr. Dunn.
Well, in response to the sheriff's statistics where the crime rate is going down, well, spice is a crime, and it's poisoning our youth and destroying families, just like the meth epidemic is. And the sheriff's office has the same number of narcotics investigators as they had 19 years ago when I started. It hadn't changed. And I've heard both the sheriff and like Mr. Milstead speak of one of the number 1 problems in the county is drugs. But yet we haven't increased our numbers to work that and combat that epidemic. And so as crime rate goes down, we just had a death in Mobile County the same way, and before long with the population growth, we're going to be just like Mobile County. The crime is coming in here, and we're going to have to make decisions and step up our patrol efforts and our manpower.
Okay, Sheriff Mack, please.
Synthetic marijuana is a misnomer, folks. It's synthetic poison. It is not marijuana, and it is a danger to our society. Just last week, I was in a meeting with Sheriff Cochran and other individuals in Mobile County and from Baldwin County to start putting together to how to eradicate this drug that's coming into our society, and particularly among our teenagers. We have a plan that we're going to implement not only immediately, but also this summer with our children and coming up into the school year to specifically address the issue of spice and this illegal drug. Mr. Dunn said that the same number of narcotics investigators is the same number that was there a few years ago. Well, I'll submit to you that perhaps the people that are doing our narcotics investigations today are doing a better job than what was being done a few years ago. Through technology, through efficiency, through competency, we are fighting and winning the battle on drugs in Baldwin County. All you've got to do is read the newspaper, look on the TV, and look at the number of drug arrests that we're getting, and we're fighting it every day. And I'm very proud of our efforts, particularly in the narcotics arena and as we combat this new drug spice.
Thank you, Sheriff. Mr. Milstead.
Well, spice is a designer drug just like those drugs that we had back in the 60s and 70s, and education for our children is nice and it's certainly necessary. But again, going back to my original point about the unincorporated areas of this county, there are meth labs now that are operating out of the trunks of cars. Meth is a pervasive problem in Baldwin County. The North Baldwin County woods are full of meth labs. Our Baldwin County Drug Task Force has not responded. People are going to the Walmarts and the drugstores and they're calling it smurfing, and that's where they go and they buy over-the-counter Sudafed to get the ephedrine and cook it out of it.
Mr. Milstead, thank you. Now we're going to get a question from Lanice Lagan that comes actually from one of you. Lanice?
All right, thank you, Bob. We've been getting a lot of questions on social media. We're taking your questions on Twitter, Facebook, and then also a lot of people that came out here tonight have submitted their questions to me as well. Our digital executive producer is over there working all of our social media platforms right now, taking your questions. You still have time to get them in. So let's take a look at one of the questions that's coming in from Twitter right now. And that question is,
concerning jail overcrowding. They want to know what the candidates will do, what is their agenda concerning jail overcrowding.
Hey, Sheriff, we can start with you.
When I became sheriff in 2007, our jail was overcrowded. Your jail basically at that time was about a 625-bed jail. We actually took an area of the jail that had been more or less mothballed into a storage area. We converted that into existing bed space, bringing the total number of beds up to 649.
The ring of a bell is a reminder the holidays are here, and that has some of you giving a little extra.
Oh, I just put my change in every day when I come.
You have a Merry Christmas. The Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign is its biggest fundraiser, and the proceeds go towards saving lives throughout the year. Today, some familiar faces were helping raise money.
Last year we raised about $180,000 with our Red Kettle campaign, and that was fabulous, but this year we need even more. We're hoping for $200,000, maybe $250,000 with you guys helping us out this year. But you know, we've faced a couple cuts this year from the city and from the state, so any little help we can get will go a long way.
I like to donate because I have 3 kids and I know what it's like to, you know, not have stuff sometimes. So I know that it goes to kids that are in need of presents, so anytime I can help and I have the extra money, I like to help.
And any amount you can give will help the Salvation Army fulfill its mission.
It ain't a lot, but it's just a little bit help, you know.
So whether it's sheltering homeless men, women, and children, our recovery programs, our emergency services for families in a crisis.
There's a lot of people that have greater need than me, and I hope they have a Merry Christmas.
Reporting in Tillman's Corner, Candace Murphy, Fox 10 News.
This has been a day of caring for Fox 10. Our crews arrived in Magnolia Springs early this morning to lend a helping hand. Fox 10 News anchor Lanice Lagan is there, and to talk about what happened. Lanice, this is all about giving back, right?
You are absolutely right, Bob, and that's what we have been trying to do here with Fox 10 Day of Caring. We are live at Magnolia Spring Head Start Center, a beautiful facility here, lots of shade. We certainly are welcome to have that with the sun that we have out today. But this facility has been in the community for quite some time, and it serves a lot of children. It creates a learning environment for children ages 3 to 5, and it's all to help them get ready for kindergarten. We're talking about little girls like Janae here, who we caught up with when we were out earlier this morning. Her mother said she first found out about this Head Start Center because her sister, her younger sister, came here about 20 years ago. She says this year will be her daughter's 2nd year, and in the time that she's been at Magnolia Springs, she has learned a lot. One of the things she learned how to do is to spell and write her own name.
She likes to be around a lot of kids, and because at first she didn't like to share, she didn't like to interact with other people, she just liked to be around me and my aunt and other, you know, just us. But now she likes to be around other kids and interact with other people.
And that is what it's all about, teaching our kids, right, to be able to grow up and be confident and smart at the same time. So I'm not just sitting down here on the job. This bench that you see here was part of the work that we did at Magnolia Springs. We also power washed this play area here, and not just one bench. We installed 4 of them so the kids have a place to sit down and read under the shade. There's a sandbox that we completely filled with new sand, 56 bags of sand, so the kids have fresh sand to play with when that school year starts. Now, this isn't about, you know, patting ourselves on the back. It's about lending a helping hand, Bob, as you mentioned, and making a difference. And that's where you come into play. Head Start is always looking for volunteers, even if it's something as simple as coming out and reading a story, which I can tell you personally is very rewarding when you see the smiles on those kids' faces. We did a lot of work here, and it made a night and day difference. If you want to see the before and after, we created a photo gallery on our website, fox10tv.com.